How's it going, everybody? Welcome. It's time for our now weekly wrestling chat here on CM42 TV. For some reason, I've decided that Tuesdays is the day that we have a massive chat about wrestling. For no reason other than I just kind of want to have a set day for certain things because I like to be organised. I'm weird that way, and also just because I feel like I'm missing out by not chatting about wrestling sometimes here on the channel, and I want to make sure I get it in there. Because sometimes after a few months I'll go, you know what, it's time to talk about some wrestling, and then there's so much to catch up on, I either never just get around to doing it, or, I feel like it's pointless or whatever. If this is consistent, then we'll do it all the time, and we don't have to, catch up on things, that sort of thing. That being said, this will be uploaded on Tuesday. However, today is Monday, and I've just finished watching last night's pay-per-view, NXT TakeOver, Portland. Which is great because I feel like, you always get the Brooklyns and you get the New York and you get the Dallas and you get the New Orleans and you get all these big cities. And then there's cities like Portland and what was the other one? Like at TakeOver 25 was in like Connecticut or something. I like those ones because those are the ones where you'll get the bigger crowds because you're not there as often, and also they're so excited to be there because you're not there as often. They're always so loud and stuff. And I'll tell you something, as a viewer, of course I wasn't there. I wasn't in Portland, Oregon last night. However, sitting here, watching the show, if I could choose a crowd to represent wrestling every week, that last night for TakeOver Portland, or Sunday night TakeOver Portland crowd was absolutely perfect. It's not about hijacking the show, it's not about trying to chant for the heels just because it's a good laugh, it's not about trying to get behind one certain person and boo everything else. It's not about that to be a good crowd, although a lot of people think it is, and a lot of people think that's part of the show. We hate Roman Reigns because we just do. That sort of thing is not what makes a good crowd. What makes a good crowd is when the audience are there the whole show. They're there for everything. They're willing to go with it. They're willing to, we're here for good matches. We're here for good wrestling. We're here for, a good product. And my God, last night, that's what they got. And listen, I said a couple of weeks ago here on our weekly wrestling chat that that Monday Night Raw is my current favourite wrestling show to watch. And I stand by that. I still think that Raw is the one that I look forward to the most right now. And it always changes. But in terms of the first part of 2020, Raw is definitely my favourite show to watch. But if you're going to ask me what's the best wrestling product out there, like if I'm going to just start with something in terms of if you're like a lapsed fan or an older fan, you just don't know what to catch up on. WWE isn't really doing it for you, but you can't really get into the new stuff like AEW, and you don't like watching the sort of foreign wrestlers like in New Japan. NXT is the place to go to watch because NXT is the best wrestling product out there right now. And I know New Japan, absolutely, the matches are amazing, their matches are unparalleled. However, wrestling is more than just a few good matches, isn't it? And those people who think that it's not are obviously in denial or going through some midlife crisis. I've been there, it's okay. No, I'm only joking. Obviously, it's a big part of it having good in-ring action for a good wrestling show, but that's not what it's all about. To me anyway, and as I've been a wrestling fan since 2001, so that doesn't give me any extra credibility or anything. I'm not like, I've watched for years. I'm an expert on wrestling. I just have watched for years, and I've seen the worst, and I've seen the best, and I've kind of grown up with it and stuff, and my tastes have developed over the years and stuff. And this is funny. This is the beauty of the wrestling chat. We go up on all these tangents, but it's fine. Last Sunday, I was at the JR and Conrad Thompson Grilling JR Inside the Ropes live podcast tour thing, and it was in Glasgow. It was great, and I kind of talked about it last week. Actually, it was awesome. Seeing JR and Conrad live, one of my favourite podcasts. And then the Inside the Ropes YouTube channel, which is really good because they always upload lots of clips from their live shows, and there was one that was uploaded a couple of days ago, and it was basically about, I think it was something to do with like Dave Meltzer and Jim Cornette were having a fight because of different tastes and stuff, and Conrad basically said Conrad has mastered the wrestling podcast because he epitomises what it is to be a wrestling fan who has somehow got in on the inside. You know what I mean? You're able to live through Conrad. It's brilliant. He's a genius. The Podfather, as he's rightfully called. So he said something really, really interesting I thought was really, really fascinating and smart, really. He basically said, like, not all wrestling is for you. And obviously that could mean a lot of things. That could be, you know, ah, well, that character isn't for me or whatever because it's not my taste. But also, it's not for you because sometimes it wasn't designed for you. Do you know what I mean? It's not as if you're sitting there and everything is given to you, as if like, you know, Jim from Paisley is out there watching this, right? I don't know, Jim's not a Scottish name. I guess it is Jimmy. Jimmy from Paisley is watching this video right now. You know, certain things on NXT last night or on Sunday night weren't designed for you, but they might have been designed for someone who's been watching wrestling for 10 years and has seen all everything. Do you know what I mean? It's like some things were marketed and presented for a certain type of audience. And the example he used is when like new custom championship belts are made. And when he was younger, he had the $1 Million Championship, he being Conrad Thompson. The $1 Million Championship came out from Ted DiBiase, and he thought it was the coolest thing ever. But his dad at the time thought it was so stupid. And then fast forward all these years, and I think like the example he used was Naomi. When she was the SmackDown Women's Champion, she brought out this glow, Feel the Glow belt. And he thought it was so ridiculous and stupid. However, his daughter, who was 6 or something at the time, loved it because that title was designed for her. So that's what I mean about watching NXT. You know, NXT might not be designed for your casual fan. That's why it doesn't get millions of views every week. However, it is designed for people who have watched wrestling for years, people who like different aspects of wrestling, because I feel like NXT is a full sort of package. I feel like NXT is one of those ones where, you know, you can get that great in-ring action, but everything's just a wee bit polished that certain other companies don't have. New Japan don't have that polish. AEW certainly don't have that polish. Sometimes Raw and SmackDown can be too polished, but everything is so perfect that the foundation of the actual wrestling in the ring can sometimes be hurt by it. Where I think NXT is the perfect blend of everything. NXT hits all the right spots if you're a wrestling fan of some, you know, length of time. You know, you get these developed characters that you've kind of seen go through independent wrestling and seen start from the bottom and then get to the top. All these different characters that have, you know, had time to kind of develop and that sort of thing. The problem with AEW is they've not had time to develop. Well, 15 weeks in or something? No, more than that now. I don't know. A few weeks in, it's not even been half a year, obviously. And we're getting there, you know, the AEW is getting better and better every week, and actually the past few episodes have been the best episodes yet, I thought. But they need time to kind of develop. NXT have had that because not only have the stars been through all this indie circuit that we've seen through the internet and stuff, but we've also seen them, you know, since they've arrived at the Performance Centre. You see the progress on social media. Like WWE, like them or not, have absolutely mastered social media. Like they know how to do it, they know how to promote stuff on there, because that is the new way to promote everything. It's the new newspaper, the new magazine, you know, and they're excellent that way, which is great. So you get to see these characters, right? Someone like Matt Riddle, for example. I'm not that big of a Matt Riddle fan. However, I've seen him go from MMA, UFC, independent wrestling, start at the Performance Centre, develop his character, and now he won the tag titles last night. That's a journey that I can watch and I can appreciate. Pete Dunne is another one, the UK guys especially, from my point of view. Johnny Gargano. I watched Johnny Gargano in 2010 when I got into independent wrestling, and I just thought he was some random nobody that, you know, I wanted to see Davey Richards and Bryan Danielson and Roderick Strong and Austin Aries and the big independent stars at the time. I didn't care about the jobber that was Johnny Gargano, but I saw him then, and I saw him work his way through his independent stuff. He started in NXT, stayed there doing nothing for ages, Cruiserweight Classic, tag teams, all that stuff, all the stuff that didn't work. Then, you know, stuff started to click. Then he won the NXT title. Then he had the match of the year contender last night. That's a journey that you can watch and appreciate, and you fall in love with that journey. That's what NXT's done, and that's how you can just fall in love with all these NXT stars. So bringing this whole conversation back for 8 minutes, back to what I was going to talk about, which was NXT TakeOver Portland, and why I think it could be the best takeover ever, is because literally it had everything. You had developed stories, even the Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai thing. That's been going on for years because they've been tag partners for years, and it's a story that you're invested in because you're told that these two girls are tag team partners, they're best pals, they grew up together, they trained together. They may not grow up together, but Tegan Nox is from Wales and Dakota Kai is from Australia, so they didn't grow up together, but they trained together. They both were out and, you know, having knee surgery at the same time. They rehabbed together, they came back in this team, they were bestos. And then Dakota Kai got jealous because Tegan Nox was getting all the attention. Dakota Kai turned on her way back in November. And now we've gone through all this time, and now we're having this blow-off match, this street fight, and it was awesome. And you can get invested in it. And there was a new twist. Dakota Kai, who's now the sort of bitchy heel, got a new bodyguard that we're going to hate now. It's the beauty of booking, long-term booking, storytelling, and getting invested in characters. That was great. The weakest match on the card was still a great match. I'd probably say the weakest match was probably Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley, but that ended up being awesome because not only was the in-ring stuff good, but it led to a fucking revolutionary history-making match where Charlotte Flair, who won the Royal Rumble, is challenging for the NXT Women's Championship at WrestleMania. That's huge, and because that storyline became, apparent, that was your main roster part of the show. Although it was the weakest match, it was still a really good match with a story that's continuing to develop. So that's great stuff there. You had the tag titles, another sort of match that's just been thrown together because you had this tag team classic thing. It was a tournament building essentially to this match, but not only was it a tournament of wrestlers who have been thrown together like Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle, they've been thrown together and they've started from together being sort of two opposites but bonded. That sort of philosophy always works, I think. And they came together, and the big payoff at the end is that they won the tag titles. If they just won the tag titles, that would have been a big enough deal, but because you've watched their journey as a team, that made that match even more special. Then you look at the other matches, and you can arguably say these other matches were some of the best in TakeOver history. Kicked off with Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic. By the way, when Dijakovic goes to Raw SmackDown, there is absolutely no way he is keeping that name. Prepare to see Dominik or Dijakovic, or Dijak, or Vic, or something like that. There's no way Dominik Dijakovic is getting past Vince. So they had this match. They've had ridiculous amounts of matches before, and for some reason, two complete opposites in terms of body shape, wrestling style, personality, character, complete opposites. But for some reason, they just click, and they have this chemistry. It's ridiculous. Every one of the matches are just stellar. And they had a triple threat match with Roderick Strong about 3 months ago that was just incredible. So, they've never had a TakeOver match though, so they've been put on TakeOver for the North American Championship. And my God, could you start it off with a better match? And also, God love Tegan and Dakota who had to follow them because they did everything in this match. Everything, but I like the fact that the street fight with Tegan and Dakota Kai followed that because it's a different sort of match. They didn't have to go in there and try and replicate the moves off the top rope and do headlocks. Street fight, so it was a total different style for the crowd. Very smart booking, by the way. So Dominik Dijakovic and Keith Lee had this great match. Dominik Dijakovic put Keith Lee on a commentator's chair on the outside of the ring, and Dominik Dijakovic, who is 6'7", taller than me, if you can believe that, springboarded from the top rope and somersaulted onto the chair and onto Keith Lee on the floor in the first match of the night. Mental. So that was great. Great match, as expected. Keith Lee retained the title. Really, really good stuff. Then we had the main event. We had the NXT Championship match between Tommaso Ciampa challenging Adam Cole. Your stereotypical NXT main event. It's just a good thing that the NXT main events are always class. Such a good match. It went on for 33 minutes. The two of them just kicked lumps out of each other. It gets to the point, and it happens a lot of times in these main event takeovers, where they're literally kicking out of everything. And also, Tommaso Ciampa has like 8 finishers, doesn't he? He does everything. Every move he does is like, I guess that's a good thing, but everything he does looks like it could finish the match, and obviously they kick out of everything. And then you get Johnny Gargano coming out and turning heel, I guess, turning on Ciampa, which is another dynamic for that match. Another dynamic for the show that hadn't happened yet. That's why it was such a great show. So now we're going to probably get at Tampa. It's probably going to be Ciampa versus Gargano 4, but this time, Gargano's going to be the heel. Total role reversal, ridiculously good booking, epic storytelling, brilliant stuff, and a good match too. I'm glad that Cole retained the title. I'm assuming he's going to wrestle Finn Balor in Tampa at WrestleMania weekend. And speaking of Finn Balor, match of the year so far? I think so. Finn Balor defeats Johnny Gargano in the third match of the night, right in the middle of the show. They wrestled for over nearly half an hour. I think it was like 27 minutes I read or something. And it's just, two of the best in the business, two of the best maybe ever. It's just ridiculous. Great chemistry, very similar styles. Just a brilliant match, and it was like not only just good in-ring stuff, but you had all these other aspects. Now that you get Johnny Gargano is arguably the best storyteller in America and in the world in terms of wrestling, because he can do everything. He can storytell for his life, and any story he wants you to know, he will tell you. And he's brilliant. That fighting from underneath. He's a hard worker. He's a fighter, but he's still able to kick your head off. Great stuff. And then Finn Balor just able to kind of overpower him at all these points. He is the big star, and the star presence he has in NXT, he being Finn Balor, is ridiculous. He's always been one of my favourite wrestlers, but it's funny how different he feels in NXT to what he did on Raw. I always loved seeing him on Raw and that sort of thing, but when he was wrestling Bobby Lashley all the time and whoever, even the Lesnar match, it just didn't seem like that big of a star, even though his Lesnar match was fucking brilliant. But it just feels like the biggest star in the world in NXT, and I love it because he is. He's one of the best ever. And he's killing it now with this character, this heel. And even after he beat him, he was like in Gargano's face and grabbing his face and his mouth and slapping him and stuff. Brilliant, just being that mean bastard, do you know what I mean? And he's not even called Pac. So there you go. NXT TakeOver Portland, I think, is the best takeover ever. You know, it's got to be. It's up there with Dallas. It's up there with one of the Brooklyn ones, the Toronto one. You know, it was a great show. It was really, really great. I recommend everybody checking it out. And I recommend anybody checking out more videos here on CM42 TV. I have a Patreon now, by the way. Patreon.com/CM42 TV for exclusive videos. Uncut and unedited reactions, early access to things, personal requests and personal shoutouts, that sort of thing. Hit me up on Patreon if you want to support in any way, shape or form. And also check out my podcast. New episode just posted last week and a new episode coming this week. The Good Bit Podcast on all podcasting outlets and right here on CM42 TV. Also Twitter and Instagram at CM42 TV. Come give me a follow. I'll follow you back and we'll have good times talking wrestling online. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow with a brand new video. And I'll see you back here for more wrestling chat next Tuesday here on CM42 TV. Thank y'all.